Okay, we're back. Okay, just think of this as a two-parter with a little commercial in between. All right, that's really what it amounts to. Let's get back to this now.
Okay, so we were talking about the Michigan Senate seat that is being vacated by Debbie Stabenow. The Democratic frontrunner is Alyssa Slotkin, and then you have a couple of Republicans. We have Mike Rogers, and then we have this guy, the Honorable Deb, the Honorable Justin Amash.
I'll be the determiner of whether he's honorable. You don't mind.
As determined by the Federalist Society. We talked a
Okay,
little
well
bit.
that does it right there for me.
There we go. Again, October 10th, October 2010, Time Magazine named Justin one of its 40 under 40. I don't know what he's done in the next 14 years, but whatever.
What?
So here is Justin Amash's scorecard, Heritage Foundation scorecard. Okay. He got an 86% lifetime score. Now, he would have gotten 100%, but he actually voted to impeach Donald Trump.
Right.
Because as he said, he's following the Constitution. Now, Deb and I will make the point over and over and over again. Just because you voted to impeach Donald Trump does not mean you are a good candidate for anything.
Correct. Because in all honesty, I really do respect Liz Cheney, but I would never vote for Liz Cheney.
Right.
Based on her policies.
Every single other, the omnibus package, the COVID package, he voted against. Heritage Foundation didn't want it. The HEROES Act, he voted against it. Heritage Action, they don't want any money spent on any of the American people, just so you know. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Enhancement Act, both of them voted against it. The only thing, he voted to impeach Donald Trump. So do I think that Justin Amash has a chance in hell on gaining a Republican support? I know.
No.
I know. It's going to be Mike Rogers and Alyssa Slotkin. Now, here's a little something because, as I mentioned in part one, Justin Amash is a wizard at communications on social media, apparently.
Ooh-wee.
So
I am so impressed. I don't know what to do.
U.S. Senate candidate Justin Amash says that the two parties are the same on issues of substance and significance. No, they're not. Not by any stretch of the imagination. And
ridiculous.
Deb's not going to go into that freaking minefield.
No, don't make me start.
In our modern polarized political world, you see the two sides in Washington, and they're at each other's throats, and you think maybe they really do have vastly different positions. But actually, a lot of the things that they vote on of substance and of significance, you have Republicans joining with Democrats and voting the same way. I'm the guy that's going to stand out. I'm the guy that's going to, defend the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. Just like the Heritage Foundation defends the Constitution, which they don't,
No.
honestly. So, we're going on to the next state, which is the state of Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin.
Yes.
Okay. And again, when I do this, and by the way, a lot of these candidates are currently, or I'm sorry, incumbents. She's a senator. A lot of these incumbents will have messages on top of their web pages about Israel and Gaza. Okay. And show it to you. You know, Senator Baldwin taking action in response to the emergency in Israel and Gaza. Uh, February 14th, she joined a group of senators calling on President Biden to continue ongoing U.S. diplomatic efforts to secure the release of Israeli hostages in tandem with the restoration of a mutual ceasefire agreement in Gaza. What she didn't do is stomp her feet and put in a vote of no confidence and all of that nonsense.
Because you know what? This is more complicated than what you're seeing on social media. Okay.
Right.
It's as simple as that. And you know something? This cannot be the defining issue of your vote come November, because
Right.
we can't help anybody if we're going to be here in the state of fascism. We cannot help anyone. By the
So
way,
here's,
one
yeah,
thing about Tammy Baldwin, so everybody understands, she was the first out representative in this country,
right.
and she is also the first out senator in this country. And she needs to come back because she's been a good, steady senator. It's as simple as that.
Once again, press releases. Baldwin brings in a hearing to Green Bay to discuss the economy in the Great Lakes. Uh, Successfully pushes White House to protect airplane passengers with disabilities. Baldwin calls on Biden to fund Wisconsin Tech Hub, applauds state new applications. Now, this is one I wanted to get to. This is something that people don't even think about, really. Senator Baldwin introduces a bill to crack down on big corporations shrinking products without reducing product prices. And in some cases, they actually increase the prices. It's called the Shrinkflation Prevention Act to crack down on corporations that deceive consumers by selling smaller uh, versions of items while keeping the prices the same or even increased. Okay. Senator Baldwin delivers more than $24 million to lower energy costs, boost resilience for tribes and rural communities. All right. Oh, last one. Video. Baldwin calls on Senate to safeguard IVF access nationwide. This is going to be a huge issue for the Democrats, by the way, after Alabama Supreme Court ruling. So another one, anti-price gouging legislation.
And you
Okay,
know what? Again, this is the shit that the people complain about, the prices of items. You know, in order to fix that, you have to have legislation. In order to get that legislation, you have to have another party that's willing to pass it. Okay? I'd like to see exactly where that goes with the Republican Party, because I have my doubts. Okay? I don't think they want to do anything to improve the situation in the United States before the election. They don't want the border fixed, and they certainly don't want the economy completely operational,
right.
because that gives them not, they can't campaign on anything else. And by the way, they have done nothing to solve the border problem, and they have done nothing for the average person when it comes to the economy in their fucking history. Okay?
So one of the things that I see in websites, uh, senator website, incumbent websites, or for people who are running or whatever, or who are already in office, especially the services tab. Help with a federal agency, request a meeting, resources for Wisconsinites, appropriation and federal funding, resources for students, flag requests, and how to visit me in Washington. And also, of course, uh, there's a contact section. And there's also a map with her different offices. Oh, let's see. Wait a minute. There's a map. There we go. To show you where her offices are and how to get there. Okay, so pretty good website actually. And here's the Republican businessman Hovde to enter Wisconsin Senate race against Baldwin. Now, He is a very rich man. He owns a corporation, I believe. You know,
And he's from California.
and he's from K. And he
He's
is
not a
now.
Wisconsinite.
Well, he grew up in Wisconsin, but he has, you know, houses and businesses in California. So this is his website.
Oh God, right. The American dream.
Yep.
Yeah, you can become a multimillionaire too. Sure you can.
Yep. Now, it's your typical Republican talking point stuff, but there's one that I want to bring up in particular. Okay. Why I'm running. This is why he's running. I feel like the American dream is slipping away. This is the Roger Ailes argument. I was born at a time when our country was strong economically, socially, and viewed with enormous respect internationally,
Well, then you know what? Maybe you ought to talk to your Republican counterparts because they're the ones that have destroyed our fucking image worldwide.
including the orange Cheeto.
That's
Now
exactly
the
right.
Now, like many other Americans, I feel like I'm watching that great country diminish as the American dream becomes further and further out of reach for too many fellow
You
citizens.
are watching the country slip away because we're slipping into fascism. Forget the fucking American dream. In fascism, there is no American dream. There will be for him because fascism is all about corporations ruling, and
Right.
he's an owner of a corporation.
The economic path we've been on and the corruption that has been running rampant in Washington D.C. for the last 15 years, coupled with the disaster. And by the way, he's going back to Obama. That's why he said 15 years. Coupled with the disastrous last 4 years under Joe
Oh,
Biden's
get
administration,
lost.
I don't recognize my country anymore, Deb.
I don't recognize it either.
It doesn't have to be that way. I believe that we can restore the American dream by coming together as Americans to solve the problems we face. Blah 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 blah.
You know
Okay,
what?
I'm
Can I just say something? I
yeah. Go
wrote
ahead.
advertising copy for 35 fucking years.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. I wrote bullshit like this in every goddamn thing I did. I can tell you, it's bullshit. All right.
I'm going to do one more, Deb.
Oh, God, my brain's melting.
Cost of living.
Oh, yeah.
Billions of dollars in spending under President Biden and Senator Baldwin. And they always do this, by the way. I told you. They tie the person they're running against to the leader, to the
Right.
incumbent. Has sent inflation and our national debt skyrocketing. Before you say anything, Deb, I got it. I got you, Deb. Remember this from ProPublica. Okay. Donald Trump built a national debt so big, even before the pandemic, that it'll weigh down the economy for many years.
And by the way, another thing that the Republicans do, aside from tying the candidate to the president, is they always project. They're the
Right.
ones that have destroyed the national debt. Okay.
Yep. And by the way, there are receipts too.
Yes, there are.
So here's Eric Hovde's next move, and I love this. Hovde falls flat with deep dip into icy Lake Mendota. This is his response to them calling him out of touch, and he's a guy from California. Yes, he was born and raised here, but he moved away, and he's no longer in touch with Wisconsin. This is what he did.
To put himself back in touch with Wisconsin, he took a dive into a cold river, a lake, or whatever the fuck it is.
Cold Lake, and
Yeah.
he asked Tammy Baldwin to or he challenged her to do it. You know what she
She probably
said?
told him to get lost.
No, no, she said no. That's all she said. And her campaign said, he can keep swimming. And also that this just shows how out of touch he is, and that he thinks that to prove yourself a Wisconsinite, you have to dive into a cold river in the middle of winter. Yeah, it didn't work well for him.
Oh, what a fucking asshole. I'm sorry.
So now we have reached the next part of this presentation to talk about a couple of senators who are already in office or not running this time. But this is what happens when you, these are the ramifications, positive and negative, of people being elected. So we have this person, Cindy Hyde Smith. I believe she's Mississippi.
What is wrong with her?
Derails bill to protect access to in vitro fertilization. And by the way, in vitro fertilization has been a concept since the 50s, and it developed into the 60s and 70s. And if you remember, the first test tube baby was 1978. And that's what we're talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
I want you all to know that we had both of my children, the second one by IVF, the first by artificial insemination.
So we have this person who apparently got out of bed the wrong way.
Yeah,
And
she got bedhead, something wrong.
she has Marsha Blackburn hair.
And
I
she's
mean,
got a puss on. She looks like she's a real happy person to be around. She looks like she's got a
exactly.
pile of shit in her mouth right now.
Right. So now here is Tammy Duckworth's current incumbent Senate website. Okay. And again, Duckworth's efforts in response to the crisis in Israel and Gaza. She decries Hamas, but she's asking for a ceasefire, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Not gonna, uh, and she talks about different issues. Um, Reintroduces bill to protect wildlife and water sources from toxic lead poisoning. This is Illinois, by the way. And again, Illinois is a huge state. It's not just Chicago. There's a lot of rural areas in Illinois, ton, and a lot of agriculture there too. Duckworth meets with Illinois American Legion to discuss supporting veterans. Federal Illinois lawmakers demand answers from Japanese company buying U.S. steel. And this I never would have thought of. Honestly, federal funds proposed for beauty professionals to receive domestic violence awareness training before being certified, which means a housewife comes in and she has bruises on her face. What do you do?
Right.
How do you respond? I never even thought of that. This is what, senators push for salon workers to be trained to spot signs of domestic violence. And again, this Chicago is big with
Yeah.
that's a big issue and a big problem there. And here is the video. Okay, I'm not going to play the video, but the point being that Duckworth pushed a bill to protect IVF, and at least one of her children was conceived through in vitro fertilization. So she's very passionate about this issue.
And by the way, I understand that Donald Trump called for the GOP to protect IVF, but he can't run from this, okay? He never assaulted, and he did stack the court for Roe to be overturned. This may never have come up. Okay,
Right.
This is all a result of going after women's reproductive rights. And the Republicans can run and they can pretend, but they cannot hide. Okay, they cannot hide.
Now, again, I have to reiterate Cindy Hyde Smith, I believe she was elected this past term. So she's going to be in for a while. But this is not why I'm showing you her Senate, campaign website. Again, this is typical Republican campaigning. Where Cindy stands: defending life and protecting the unborn, stopping illegal immigration, and supporting our Second Amendment rights.
That's right.
She'll always put Mississippi first.
You sure will.
Cindy Hyde-Smith has helped me put America first. We need Cindy to win in Mississippi. President Donald J. Trump.
We need Cindy to take a hike, is what we need.
So again, yet one more endorsement from Donald Trump.
That should be by now a poison pill in this country.
So Republicans have blocked Senate bill to protect nationwide access to in vitro fertilization treatments.
I rest my case.
Okay. Cindy Hyde-Smith was the person who spearheaded this whole thing. Now, this is why she did it, or one of the reasons why she did it. And I told Deb this, and hopefully I'll get the same reaction.
I'm already laughing.
I'll,
I can't. I just can't. I mean, we got a woman, this is QAnon material. I mean,
right.
it just is.
This could lead to animal chimeras. Never mind the fact that this technology has been around and successfully been around since 1978.
Okay. I mean, okay. Are we all right here? No, we're not, clearly.
Hold on. Ah,
People make me crazy. No wonder
I'll
I
put
can't
it.
sleep at night.
I don't know what happened, but I hit. Oh, there it is. There it is. Listen, there are plenty of resources talking about the history of in vitro fertilization. All right. So a history of developments to improve in vitro fertilization. This is just kind of an abstract to give you a very basic history. Methods of in vitro fertilization have advanced dramatically since the first IVF baby was born in 1978. Originally yielding single-digit success rates, IVF is now successful in nearly 50% of cases, in which the woman is younger than 35 years old. Okay. Why again does the government have to get involved in this?
They don't.
No reason. They don't.
They need to stay out of this.
Okay. I want to see the evidence of human animal chimeras that that Susan Heitzman. I mean, she looks more like a chimera than anybody in this whole thing with the hair and the puss and all that. Give me a break. Stop.
Again,
So,
it's fear mongering. I mean, this is
right.
what they do better than anybody.
So I'm going to finish with this piece. We're going to be talking about more Senate candidates next week. We're going to be talking about Andy Kim, who's running for Menendez's seat once Menendez is no longer there. We're also going to be talking more about uh, Tim Kaine and the people running against him. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about this person. I want to do more research on this because there is a 504 1C, I believe it is, that is involved in this that Trump actually endorses. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information, what we're going to be talking about. Tim Kaine is one of them. And by the way, we gave him hell in 2016. Okay, we did, but we need him.
We do.
This is who's running against Tim Kaine. Ex-DeSantis staffer Parkinson runs for Kane's Virginia seat. This guy, again, another Gordon Gekko knockoff.
Right.
Former congressional staffer and advisor to Ron DeSantis and other Republican officials announced Monday's plan to seek the GOP nomination to challenge Democratic U.S. Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia. Parkinson, who works for the Conservative Economic Policy Group, this is the first time I've heard about it, so I have to do more research on it, but it sounds like, an evil, entity, yet another one. The policy group Club for Growth told the Associated Press ahead of a formal announcement that frustration over pandemic related school and business closures changed his worldview and pushed him to seek public office for the first time.
Oh,
I'm sure Ron DeSantis had nothing to do with it.
I'm heartbroken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the same one? Oh, conservative groups look beyond Trump for 2024 GOP nominee. And they mention this group again. David McIntosh, president of the influential Club for Growth group, said Tuesday that the group had invited half a dozen potential Republican candidates to its donor summit in Florida next month, but Trump, the only declared major candidate in the race so far, is not among them.
Well, you notice that, guess what? They weren't so successful at it, were they?
No.
No.
Look at all these, now Youngkin's in, but these freaking knuckleheads. But here we go. And this is pretty much all you need to know.
And by the way, only one man owns the Republicans right now, and that's him.
They're back in love,
Yeah, it's great.
you know. So I'm going to be taking a look at this group because, again, I've never heard of them. I was like, who the hell are these guys? So, in the end, um, this is a Wikipedia. This is the current list, 2024, of candidates. We're going to be talking about a couple more. LaFonza Butler, as I said, she did a good job, but she's leaving. And I don't think Gavin Newsom expected her to stay in.
Oh, I don't think he did either.
So, it is what it is. So we have Arizona, which we talked about. That's Gallego. Uh, Connecticut, Chris Murphy. Okay. Um, Delaware, Tom Carper is retiring. I have to look to see who's running for his seat. Florida. Then we have Hawaii and Mazie Hirano. Okay, I gotta see if somebody's running against Mazie. I don't think that the interloper that would be Ohana is going to run. She's talking about running for VP, and that's Tulsi. Okay,
On the Republican ticket.
on the Republican ticket. You guys have to
She's
understand.
MAGA now. She's
She's
full on
MAGA.
MAGA.
She's full on MAGA. I don't know if she ever was really Democratic at this point, but she's full on MAGA now. Indiana, the seat being vacated by Mike Braun. Angus King's running in Maine. Ben Cardin is retiring in Maryland. Then we have Massachusetts. I haven't heard of any real viable candidate running against Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, they vowed to have one here.
I'm sure they're going to,
How
yeah.
viable. This is Massachusetts. I'm sorry, but I don't know.
So we have a couple more of these guys. Debbie Stabenow, who we just spoke about. Amy Klobuchar, who Dean Phillips says that even though she's about 6 years older than him, she's too old to run. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. He's another horse's ass. We're going to talk about him too.
Yeah, and by the
By the
way, Amy
way, the person running
Klobuchar's
for
done a hell of a job.
the person running uh for Copper's seat there,
Yeah.
it's she's good. Lisa Blunt Rochester.
Okay.
To look her up. She's a good one.
Okay. I have to take a look at the Republicans, but here, or we're going to be talking about Bob Menendez's seat. We talked about Jackie Rosen last week. There's a few others here, and by the way, another one, Kristen Gillibrand, another one that we crucified in 2016, another one that we need. Okay,
Bob
Kristen.
cannot be a toss-up. Okay, he has got to win. Okay, he's got to win.
The reason that they put him as a toss-up is because of JD Vance.
I know.
That's why.
I know.
And they're hammering the shit out of him.
By the way, I want you to know Lisa Blunt Rochester has been endorsed by Copper.
Okay.
And she is currently a congresswoman.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, I don't know if anyone is really running in Utah, but again, somebody's got to run. I'll take a look and see. That North Dakota seat, originally, the incumbent said he wasn't going to run. He's running now. I know there's someone running against him. She did lose against him in a prior election, but this is a completely different situation. North Dakota, get out there and vote. North Dakota Democrats. So, again, we talked about Tammy Baldwin. So, one website that is fantastic when it comes to this stuff because they don't talk about polls, they don't talk about all that. They just list the candidates, and there are three different classes. Okay, it's not a matter of which class is better than the other. It's just a matter of what seats are up and what year. And the next uh the next election cycle is class one. Okay. So they show the Democrats, the Republicans, and the independents. So Kristen Sinema, she's pretty much out of it at this point. Bernie Sanders, I don't know if anybody's running against him. And Angus King, he's pretty much, as far as I know, he's pretty much cemented in there. But here's a list of all of them, and we're going to be talking about a few more. Now,
wait 1 minute. I do have a Democrat running for Romney seat.
okay,
Caroline Gleish. She is a mountain climber and a climate activist.
okay,
And
okay,
another Democrat listed here, Archie Williams. It appears that Brent Orrin Hatch is going to be the Republican running for Romney's seat.
okay. So we know where that's going.
And Brad Wilson. There's two Republicans, two Democrats, from what I can see.
Not for nothing, the Hatch is probably going to. I would think he would get the Republican nod, but
Yep.
we'll see. One thing I do want to mention before we close this out, there are two other classes. So these senators have 6-year terms, and each 2 years, one of these classes are up for reelection. So here is the group that's up in 2028. Okay. The Democrats, Cory Booker, Chris Coons, Dick Durbin. I have no idea if Dick Durbin's going to retire. It's possible. John Hickenlooper, Ben Ray Lujan, Ed Markey, Jeff Merkley, John Ossoff, Gary Peters, Jack Reed, Janine Shaheen, Tina Smith, Mark Warren. Okay, those are the Democrats.
So on the Republican side, these are the people we are stuck with until then. So you need to understand that this is not just let's vote in 2024 and then we're all set. We are never
And,
going to be all set again. Okay.
and
The
by
jury's
the way,
out of the box.
Cindy Heights Smith is one of them.
Right.
So we have Shelley Moore Capito, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, John Cornyn, Tom Cotton, uh, Steve Daines, Joni Ernst, who, at one point was considered the most radical senator out there. Now she's just kind of in the middle. That's how bad it is. Lindsey Graham, Bill
Lady
Haggerty,
Lindsay.
yep, Cynthia Loomis, Roger Marshall, Mitch McConnell, and we understand again this Mitch McConnell may be retiring before his term is up, but he may not be. I know he's stepping
Yes,
down, but I don't think
he's
he's
not
gonna.
indicated that. He's not.
No, he's not indicated that. So uh, a real shitbag, Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican of Oklahoma. Deb is developing a real hate for Oklahoma GOP
I am.
members.
I
Uh,
really am. You would not catch me dipping one toe in that state. No siree.
right. Pete Ricketts, James Risch, Mike Rounds, Dan Sullivan, Tom Tillis, and the military obstructionist shitbag himself, Tommy Tuberville.
By the way, there's plenty of MAGAs still on this list, and
Yep.
plenty of spineless. I consider Susan Collins spineless. I don't want to hear, that she's, a moderate Republican. She's
So
a coward.
these are the guys, and I'm just gonna read the Republicans at this point. Okay, you guys can take a look. Although Catherine Masto Cortez, she's really good. She's in until 2029. Here's the guys that we have until 2029. Okay, John Boozman, Katie Britt, Ted Budd, Mike Crapo, Chuck Grassley, John Hoeven, Ron Johnson until 2029, you guys. John Kennedy, another dirtbag, James Langford, Mike Lee, Jerry Moran, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Eric Schmidt, Tim Scott, John Thune, JD Vance, and Todd Young. Those are the guys that we have for the longest amount of time.
So we need to make sure you understand that we are going to need to vote several cycles. We're going to need to vote. We should be making, that should be one of the things we make a commitment to changing. This country should not be 31st in the world in voter turnout, and Democrats should not be voting at a mere 52%. I'm sorry. You don't change anything unless you change yourself.
And
So
again, this is once again, I don't want to be overly dramatic, but I don't think it is. This is the most historic presidential election of our lifetime. It
look,
really is. You have a proto-fascist running against Joe Biden, who has done more for this country with less than any other president, at least in my lifetime.
my lifetime too.
Okay,
As I have said a million times, I wasn't thrilled. I voted for Biden. He has made me a believer. I believe he deserves a second term to finish what he started.
right.
I'm good. Okay.
Yeah. And again, Deb and I can say it ad nauseum. You have guys on TikTok saying it ad nauseum. All these people talking about what he's done. And again, with the amount of backlash, I don't. He hasn't had a supermajority since he was elected.
Right.
Not one. He's had to deal with either the Senate, and he. By the way, we had a majority in the Senate and the House. Actually, we did have a very slim supermajority, but we had to deal with Kristen Sinema and frickin' Joe Manchin
Right.
blocking him.
We had a 9-seat lead in the House. That should not have turned into a deficit. I'm going to say it again. So
And we are this close to turning that around. And I really honestly think that we will turn the House around. But we cannot allow the Senate
Senate to slip. We
to
cannot.
slip.
We can't.
Okay. And don't just give up West Virginia. Don't just do it. I mean, for those of you who live in West Virginia, it's your state. It's your state. Now it's our country too. Joe Manchin, Maserati Manchin, he was the one that torpedoed Build Back Better.
He did. And he
Okay.
worked against his own constituents on that one.
Right.
So,
Anyway,
all right, gang, we're done here.
yes, we are. And we only had one freeze. I'm very proud of my computer.
Yeah, yeah. But next week, it'll be so much better.
I
And
hope so.
we will see you then.